Hey guys, just before we get to today's clip, just a quick reminder for all Serie A fans in the UK and Ireland, you can now stream every single match live on OneFootball. No matter which team you're backing, OneFootball's got you covered. You can watch via the OneFootball app on your phone or connected TVs from Apple TV, Google TV, Samsung, LG, and Fire TV, or on the website tv.onefootball. And what's even better is that you can choose how you watch it. You can grab a team or a season pass to watch all the matches until the end of the season, or just the ones from your favourite club. There's also a match day pass for £9.99 to watch all the weekend's games, or a single match on pay-per-view for £4.99. And yeah, if you missed a live game, you'll still get access to all the match highlights too. So if Serie A is your thing, OneFootball is where it's at. We'll have a link in the description of the episode for you to buy your preferred stream.
Welcome to the Italian Football Podcast.
I want to move on to the European midweek fixtures. Real Betis playing Fiorentina in the Conference League on Thursday, but the big talking point, of course, is Barcelona against Inter at the Estadio Luis Companys in Barcelona. Obviously they're renovating the Camp Nou, so they're playing at, if I'm not mistaken, it's Espanyol's home ground, isn't it?
Montjuic. It's the old Olympic Stadium from 1992.
Yeah, from 92, yeah, exactly. So they're going to be playing that. It's Wednesday at 2100 hours, as Carlo likes to call it, for some reason, some weird
Central
reason.
European summertime.
Yeah, Central European time, yeah, exactly, yeah. CET, 2100 hours, as if he's in the military or something. Inter, basically Barcelona, we look at the lineups. Robert Lewandowski has a hamstring injury, definitely going to be out. Alejandro Baldes, from what I understand, it's not yet decided. It's very touch and go. Barcelona's expected lineup is Szczesny, and then Koundé, Kubarsi, Inigo, Gerard Martin or Balde, then De Jong, Pedri, and then Yamal, Gavi, or Fermin Lopez, Rafinha, and Ferran Torres. That's their lineup. As for Inter, Benjamin Pavard has been ruled out, as far as from what I understand. Marcus Thuram is very touch and go. I don't expect to see him to start. I think it's going to be Sommer, Bastoni, Acerbi, Darmian, Carlos Augusto, Mkhitaryan, Calhanoglu, Barella, Dumfries, Lautaro Martinez, and Mehdi Taremi. That's the probable lineup I see it for Inter, given that Arnautovic played 90 minutes against Roma as well. So let's, what kind of a game, where will this game be won and lost, and how do you think Inter can knock out Barcelona?
I think Inter can knock out Barcelona by playing a similar sort of performance to the one they've done all season in Europe, where they concede very few goals. I think that's what's been amazing. Okay, they've started to concede more goals in the latter stages of the competition. They conceded 1 against Bayern. They conceded 2 in the second leg against Bayern. So 3 goals across those 2 ties. The important thing is they outscored the German team. But besides that, I mean, you'll know the numbers better than me. I think it was something astonishing, like eight clean sheets in 9 or something ridiculous. I remember it was one goal conceded, wasn't it, in the entire league phase from 8 matches, which I think was the loss against Bayer Leverkusen. So I think Inter have to be within 1 goal, bringing this game back to San Siro six days after the first leg. If Barcelona have too big a cushion, then I think we can rule Inter out. I mean, in a dream scenario, you would emulate what you achieved in 2010 when you had a 2-goal cushion, but I think that's very unlikely. And from what I can see, I don't cover Spanish football, but Barcelona obviously are chasing their own treble. They've just won the Copa del Rey. Yes, they went to extra time, so they'll be fatigued. But I think, again, that's offset by the fact that they've just beaten Real Madrid to a trophy. They might have, got Carlo Ancelotti dismissed in the process. They know that Real Madrid aren't going to win the Champions League. They're determined to win another of those trophies. So I think a lot of it will hinge on Inter's ability. I'm not saying necessarily to keep a clean sheet, but to only concede 1 goal. And I think even if you only concede 1 goal and you don't score, you're within 1 goal. We can see the tie easily turned around. We saw that with Bayern. Yes, Fratesi scored late on, but as soon as Kane scores, all of a sudden the tie is level again. And even then, when Inter suddenly then go 2-1 up, as soon as Bayern score again, then it hangs in the balance once more. So I don't expect the tie to be decided in the first leg. But I think if you're going to get a result against Barca, then you need to shut down Lamine Yamal and who knows how to do that. We've seen all sorts of defenders try and fail over the last year, 18 months, both for his club side and for the national team as well. You know, there's scope for him to become a European champion at club and international level before he's even 18 years of age, which is just blows my mind. And I think Rafinha is very much in the run for the Ballon d'Or as well, isn't he? I think he's scoring as many goals as anyone. So they've got lots of different ways they can hurt you. In some ways, from a sort of very Italian-centric perspective, I hope that if it is Szczęsny between the sticks, that he's able to make a mistake, and then Inter can have the double satisfaction of not only scoring against Barcelona, but scoring thanks to a mistake from a former Juventus goalkeeper. I mean, there'd be something nice for the Inter fans to sort of crow and cheer about that. But, again, I think it's an advantage that it's not at the Camp Nou. It's at a stadium which, yes, Barcelona have been playing at, but it's not going to have the same fear factor, and it's not going to have the same noise and atmosphere. And I think Inter, as long as the fans don't do that irritating thing of refusing to chant for 20 minutes because they're protesting ticket prices in the return leg, if the Meazza is bouncing, which we know it can do and often has done, then as long as Inter are within one goal, you've been saying all season long, and I have to, for once, I have to say you're right. I mean, it might be the first time in your life you've ever been right, and certainly the first time I've ever admitted you're right. You've been saying it all season long. Inter's form in the Champions League is completely removed from what they're doing in Serie A, and the two are not linked, bizarrely. Whether they will be linked now, I don't know, because it is three straight defeats without scoring. I mean, but you'd be able to answer this question a lot better than me. How do you see it panning out?
I think there's a couple of things I'm looking at. Number one is Federico Di Marco cannot, under any circumstances, start in this game.
And I don't think he will.
No, I don't think he will either. I think but mainly because Federico Di Marco, he has lots of good things about him and his game, but defensive weaknesses. One thing we saw that he's been doing for 4 years, and that is he doesn't close players down because he knows that he will be done by them, especially technical players. The problem when he stands off is like you saw the goal that Bayern Munich scored or Harry Kane scored. He stands off and gives him all the time in the world. You cannot do that against Lamine Yamal. He will murder you. He will rip you apart. Carlos Augusto is much better at that. And Inter defend as a unit. And the problem when Di Marco plays is that there's a domino effect because Mkhitaryan and Bastoni have to help him out, which means they can't focus on their primary duties. With Carlos Augusto, that's sorted. They defend zonally, already down that left-hand side. Augusto's tighter on Lamine Yamal. And also it allows Mkhitaryan and Bastoni to kind of screen and block passing lanes that Inter need to be very wary of with Barcelona. And of course, Barcelona's high line. The key here is Denzel Dumfries because he's very quick and he's outstanding when he has space to attack. And if Inter can win the ball and Barella can start threading balls to a Denzel Dumfries who attacks the space, a lot of it is won. However, there's the other side of it as well, and that is something that I saw when I was watching this El Clásico Copa del Rey final, and that is something that Barcelona are outstanding at. And that is not just how they counter press and win the possession within 10, 20 seconds, which they've always been good at. Look at the first goal that Barcelona score. It is, if there's a camera angle that just blew my mind away. Jude Bellingham is about to play thread a through ball, I think for Vinny, and he would be alone with the goalkeeper. But then you see in that angle, look at Pedri. He's so smart. He knows that ball is going to come. He's anticipating to win that ball by cutting that passing lane, but he doesn't want to do it too soon. He wants Bellingham to play that ball so that he can slide tackle in and win that ball whilst they're in transition, Real Madrid, and then hurt them on the counter, which is exactly what happened. And Lamine Yamal, you know, Real Madrid are 6s and 7s. Defensively, they're all over the place. They don't know where they are. Lamine Yamal occupies 4 players, plays a wonderful through ball back, and Pedri with a magical finish. Inter have to be careful of that. It's not just not losing the ball in transition. It's also executing what they want to do quickly and assertively, not giving Barcelona, their midfield, chance to read what they want to do, because that way, what we've seen with Barcelona, and above all Pedri, is they lay traps for you. They lure you in. Oh, come on, then play that pass. Win the ball, counter, score, done. That's what Inter have to be very, very, very wary of. And I am a little bit worried with Pavard not playing, with Bisek playing down that right-hand side. if he decides to play Bisek. I hope he doesn't. I hope he plays Darmian as the right centre back and Dumfries as the wing back. That's what I would do, because I feel with what we've seen from Bisek, and I think he's a decent player, he's a young player, but he hasn't taken those steps. He's made lots of mistakes in decisive situations, and it's right to play him because otherwise young players never learn. But I would not gamble that in a Champions League semi-final. I just would not do that. I would go with Darmian, I would go with Dumfries. Defensively and counter-attacking wise, they give you another option. They give you something to hurt Barcelona with, because Barcelona do have weaknesses. And then finally, Inter's energy levels. I mean, I don't know what they are. That's the big unknown. Is it the Inter that we've seen in these 3 games? Or do they somehow manage to still be able to dig in deep and bring that extra thing that we've seen them do in the Champions League this season? It's a completely different concentration. It's a completely different Inter mentality. The game plan, they're always well drilled and well prepared, but the way they execute, the way they work cohesively from Lautaro to Sommer is something that is completely different in the Champions League. I know that they would never admit this, but I think it's very obvious that having won the Scudetto a couple of times and all these other trophies they've won domestically, they've been to 2 European finals. Lautaro, Bastoni, Barella, these guys have not won it. Hakan, they've not won that Champions League. They've not won a top European trophy, and that weighs on them. And also, if you look at Lautaro Martinez's form, the last 6 games he's played in the Champions League that he started, he scored in every single one of them. I think 7 of those 8 goals.
7 goals in his last 5 games. I think it is
5. Sorry, 7 goals in 5 games. That's 7 out of those 8 goals have come from the last 5 games he's played in the Champions League that he started. That tells me that he, the Ballon d'Or discussion, he knows if he's going to win that, he has to deliver in the Champions League. Well, that's Ballon d'Or winning level. That's Ballon d'Or winning form. You deliver like that against Barcelona at that level, and you go to the final, you win the Champions League. Like you said, alluded to earlier correctly, the narrative changes completely. No one will remember all that other stuff if Inter win their 4th Champions League. All of that flies out the window. And you have a Lautaro, the captain of Inter, potentially being a Ballon d'Or candidate for real if he continues to be decisive. So to me, it's very difficult to predict this. I do still think Barcelona are favourites. I can't get past based on what we've seen. I hope I'm wrong. I think Barcelona win this by 2-1.
Okay.
First leg. What do you think?
So you'd probably take that then. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier on. I think if you're within 1 goal, you're okay. The fear I have is that it could end up being a one-sided tie like Arsenal Real Madrid was. And Arsenal won the first leg 3-0 at home, and then it's pretty much done. There was all that talk about remontada, but it never came to pass. And Arsenal actually won the second leg as well. And ordinarily, I would say Simone Inzaghi teams don't lose by big margins. But we saw them lose 3-0 in Florence in January, and we saw them lose 3-0 just a few days ago in the Cup. So the most important thing for them to remember is not to capitulate, basically. It's not a league game where whether you lose 1-0 or 3-0, it doesn't matter. And it's not a second leg of a cup tie where it was level in the first leg, and once you go 2-0 down, you have to chase the game. They need, I don't care if they go full-on catenaccio. I mean, I was at the Arsenal game, and I thought Inter were magnificent. Jan Bisek produced one of the best individual performances I've ever seen. And he had all that strapping. He was on his chest. He was wearing... He was taking painkillers. I think if Inter can defend like that, and you need a bit of luck doing that, but there's no reason why Inter can't defend that way. The problem is you need to park your pride, and you need to say, I'm willing to play a deeper line. I'm willing to try and play more in transition. And it could work, to be honest, if you just let the opposition have the ball. The important thing is Inter don't try and beat Barcelona at their own game. That was the great triumph at 2010. It was Mourinho saying, I'm going to play literally the opposite brand of football to you, and I'm going to show you that I'm superior to you and I'm going to beat you. Now, Inter don't have Jose Mourinho. They don't have some of those players from the treble-winning season, but what they do have is some world-class players, and you mentioned them already.
Yeah,
they are Bastoni, Barella, Calhanoglu, Lautaro Martinez, and Thuram if fit.
Absolutely. And look, you mentioned the 2010 Camp Nou famous victory, and that's what Inter fans like to return to. And of course, because that was a very positive and legendary win, and Busquets with the peekaboo, Thiago Motta getting sent
Well,
off.
technically, it was a defeat. It was the most glorious defeat of Inter history, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
glorious, most glorious.
1-0, yes. Yeah.
1-0, and Mourinho going up to Guardiola when he's talking to Ibrahimovic. If I ever interviewed Mourinho, I will pressure him to say what he said there, because I've heard some really interesting stories that some lip reader I saw say that what Mourinho told Guardiola in that situation is that you could stand here and try to explain to him to next week, he'll still not understand what you mean. If I hope to God that is what he said, because it would end me hilariously. But I'm fearing this La Settimana Maledetta of Leonardo a year later. That's what the last week has been telling me. The loss to Bologna, the 3-0 hammering by Milan, and of course the Champions League with Barcelona now after losing to Roma. Now the La Settimana Maledetta of Leonardo was when Inter, after Rafa Benitez had been sacked, Leonardo comes in, he turns everything around, he unleashes the attacking prowess of Inter following the treble. They make up for most of the what they've been away in the league. They're within, I think, 3 points of Milan going into the derby in the league. They get hammered 3-0 because Leonardo doesn't believe in defending in his 4-2 fantasia, and they get hammered at home to Schalke 04 2-5 at the San Siro. That was the Settimana Maledetta, the cursed week. Well, this has been a cursed week for Inter as well, and we'll know, I think, on Wednesday night whether we are talking 2010 or if we're talking 2011, if we're talking about history and Inter goes.